these two titans are back to their old ways, and that gets me very excited for what comes next. Hey there, this is your Matt Doodle to my Thomas Hands, Doomar here with another video, and today I'll talk about Daredevil, Born Again, Episode 7. Now, I am still so surprised on how much I'm enjoying this show. No matter how long it's going, there hasn't been an episode that I have not liked. Each one fits so well. I haven't been bored. I haven't been, tired of it. I'm just more interested. Even to ones where basically it was just a heist episode, that was still very exciting. And this one is more plot heavy, and it's still very exciting and kind of funny. Because like when we go into the episode, we immediately get to Fisk, talking about the city with his guys, his right-hand men, I guess, and explaining, oh, I love the city. I love it. We need to protect it so much. And, he's obviously trying to take the credit, and we know that's Fisk's thing. And I love that he thinks he has power. But then when one of them mentions that Daredevil was there and that he saved Angela, you could tell Fisk was annoyed and freaked out. He was not expecting him to be back. He seems genuinely scared, and it's so funny, to be honest. And on the flip side, we see that Angela and Matt are basically having the same thought, or at least that's how they portray it, of their encounter of Angela, knowing that Daredevil's there, while Matt is living his experience of being Daredevil again. And it's funny because he's in the shower, washing the blood away from what happened to him. And then Kristen comes in, which, all right. And obviously she notices that he had damage on him, that he actually got hurt. But literally, all Matt had to do to not make her really think about it too much was just get into their sexy time. Matt just had to wrist her up so hard that she just forgot what she was going to ask about, his injuries. I know that was cringy, what I just said. But obviously, that wasn't going to last, because when they are out of the shower and they actually change, she still tries to ask him, why is he hurt? Why did he leave their apartment? And I love that she actually asked these questions. I love that people are not stupid here. And I love that Matt still uses his, blind excuse of saying, I tripped, I do this, I do that. But it doesn't seem to completely work because Kristen is still pushing, because she talks about Foggy. But it also looks like she's kind of a little jealous of, Karen, which I'm very surprised with, because Matt didn't really talk about her, at least from what we know. So what would Kristen have to be jealous about? So that was interesting. But I also like the little thing for Matt to basically see Kristen, touching her face and all this stuff. That's always a nice thing to see for Matt, the player. But Kristen is not the only one who was worried about Matt, because obviously Cherry was also very worried and was ready to scold Matt for what happened. I do like that Cherry is sticking with what he wants. He does not want Matt to be hurt, and he does not want to be there for Matt to be hurt. But I also found it interesting that Matt, I think because he was thinking like how he was with Foggy and Karen, basically saying, hey, do this, and do that. Even though he basically broke Cherry's trust. And I love that, again, Cherry was like, no, you do it yourself. You lost my trust right now. And I found that cool. But then we're going back to Fisk and how he's dealing with the whole information about basically his sworn enemy is back. And one thing I found really funny here is how he talks about basically his criminal empire with his, right-hand man, basically, who also is a criminal, I'm pretty sure, because he basically talks as if everything he did was legal. Everything he did was good. Everything he did was to save the city. Even though we know in the end of the first season, he basically accepted his fate as a bad guy. So it's funny how he talks about it. And I love how he basically talks about all his employees who he's worked with as blue-collar millionaires. And that sounded so ridiculous and so Kingpin. But I love that he blames Daredevil for his incarceration, because he says, I was unlawfully detained, I was unlawfully arrested, I lost all my work. And I'm like, Kingpin, you sound like a small child talking about this. And I just found that hilarious. And I also found it hilarious is that he basically said what a lot of people think of Batman does to his villains. Because he basically said, he broke my workers' spirits, he broke their bones with no due process, he just hurt them. And I'm like, that sounds like every commenter who thinks Batman fighting muggers and actual criminals and supervillains like they were just regular people and just mentally ill all the time. Which I don't know if that was intentional, but if it is, that is funny, and I like that it's pointing out the absurdity here, because the people Daredevil does fight are bad people. Let's not get it twisted. especially for Batman too. Now, skipping over my little tangent there, we get to see Angela's recovery, from Muse basically taking all her blood away, which, how would that feel exactly? I'm very curious about that. But we basically see her talk with Matt and her basically feeling like no one's going to help, especially not the cops. And we know that's going to be true. But I love that Matt is ready to reassure her, also letting us know that he is not going to be done being Daredevil anytime soon. And again, I really hope he's not going to give up his suit by the end of the season. That would be stupid. But then after this, we get confirmation that Vanessa is working behind Fisk's back, because that whole situation we saw with Fisk's guy talking to the gang leaders individually, saying they have to pay $1 million or something like that. I'm sorry, 1.8 million or something like that. And by the way that he said, I don't work for the mayor, I work for the man, I was already under the impression that he was talking about Vanessa, and it's just confirmed here that it was her, because she tells the tracksuit guy that he did it. But I also am interested on the fact on why this tracksuit guy is very rebellious here. He did seem like he liked Vanessa's rule. So what's going on here? That's something I'm really interested in. And we'll see what kind of happens to him later in this episode. Oh, and okay. This part of the video is going to be a little bit back and forth because there's a lot of things happening here. We get Kristen with her client, Bastion, who we find out is a Muse, which is kind of obvious by the way he talks and the way his mannerisms are. So that's interesting. We learn that he did Taekwondo, which is why he was able to square up with Daredevil. But even then, how though? Because Taekwondo is one martial arts. Daredevil has been fighting in multiple martial arts, not just one. It wasn't just boxing. There was multiple fighting styles he used. So I'm surprised by the struggle that he had, to be honest. But we get to learn that, and on the flip side, we get to see that Fisk finds out who Bastion is with that one cop from the beginning of the episode, the one that also helped with the escalation with the robbers. So that's interesting. There's a lot of back and forth with that, and it's so cool seeing how tense it is for Kristen to find out that Bastion is Muse. And I find it interesting that Bastion could just paint his own mask because it's pretty simple. It's just basically 2 lines across eyes, but of course he did it with his own blood, so of course Kristen would find out, and Bastion is ungodly uncomfortable here and goes so well into the atmosphere here of the scene. But one thing that I found actually really interesting was the fact that Muse didn't get his idea to wear the mask because of Daredevil. He got it because of Kristen's book, because of what wearing a mask really represents. And that's actually pretty interesting, which will lead me into something in a little bit. But we also see that outside of this entire situation, that McDuffie is figuring out that Matt and Cherry have this secret thing going on the side, and that she's starting to feel left out and starting to feel betrayed. And I'm like, is there a betrayal bug going all over here? Because I'm wondering what's going to happen with her. Is she going to know? Is she going to die? I don't know. What do you think? But then we see Fisk put his task force, anti-vigilante task force, together. And to be honest, what they showed here in this episode, I legit thought the team were going to be a lot more prominent in this episode. But we see they really weren't, to be honest. Maybe it's for the next episode, but I was kind of disappointed, to be honest. But then when we get back with Kristen and Bastion, we already see that Bastion ditched his normal outfit because he basically held Kristen hostage and put on his new suit and was going insane. He was just creepy. He was scary, and that is very exciting. And especially goes so well into the tension that I've said multiple times I really love about this show. And it is so freaky because Muse was ready to have his own art piece in the therapy room. Like, he had cut Kristen's arm, and you saw everything. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to show that here, and I don't even get monetized. But he it's slow. It's not like, it's like a little cut. No, he goes down the entire arm, and you see it, and I'm like, oh no. And it was horrifying. And you saw Muse, he was ready to use Kristen's blood to make his own art piece. But this is what I found cool. I was like, is anyone going to help? But then Daredevil comes through the window to fight Muse. Now, I wasn't expecting him to actually get through because I was like, how does he know that Muse was there? Did he put some clues that I didn't know? Because I couldn't even figure it out. Maybe I didn't see the episode correctly because I couldn't see how he got to that conclusion. Because I was like, who is going to save her? who's gonna save Kristen. I thought it was gonna be the task force. Whoops, I was a little wrong. Turns out there was actually multiple points in the episode that showed how Daredevil and the police found a location. I just didn't really pay attention. My bad. But back to the action, I, again, love the fight choreography. It looks so clean and so cool to just see how Daredevil fights Muse and how Muse tries to fight Daredevil, or how he's still trying to make his art, even though he is fighting Daredevil to begin with. But one thing I was not expecting was that Matt didn't stop Muse. The person who stopped Muse was Kristen herself. She was bleeding out, but she took a gun that was there and shot Muse to death. And I was genuinely shocked. I legit thought maybe Daredevil had done it. Maybe because I just didn't see the scene that well, but I was just genuinely surprised. And obviously he was going to try to tend to her wounds and he was trying to help her. But seeing all that blood, oh jeez. And then finally the task force come in and find Kristen there. So good job, task force. You did absolutely nothing. But I think this whole thing goes into something because later on we'll see why this entire thing is actually kind of relevant. Because when they capture Muse, who apparently is dead now, which I'm not sure if that's going to be 100% true because there's still a lot more episodes, so what's going on? But also, we see that they actually, take care of Kristen and probably put her to the hospital. But what Fist does here is the most slimiest thing I think I've seen Fist do in a long time. He takes credit for Daredevil's work. He basically tries to tell all his task force that, hey, you're the heroes of the city. You're the heroes. Daredevil is nothing. He is the criminal. He is the bad guy. You are the ones who deserve this honor. And one thing that I found so interesting was that the task force, the main guy, did not really seem that into it. He did not want that credit. At least that's what I saw what it looked like. And it didn't seem like most of the people in there liked that credit. And I'm like, are they going to rebel against Fisk? What are they going to do? Are they going to get more corrupted by him? Because that usually tends to happen. And then there was something I was not expecting at all in this episode. Even though I was not expecting a lot in this episode, I was not expecting the one guy, the Gen Z guy who was supposed to make Fist look good. I'm sorry, I can never remember his actual name. If you can tell me, please let me know in the comments down below. But he just seemed like a joke. He was nothing. He was annoying. He was stupid. He just felt like a child, right? But in this one scene, he's in Fisk's chair, in his mayoral chair, acting so high and mighty, and basically threatens or coerces BB to change the news to be in Fisk's favor, basically saying that the task force is the one that stopped Muse, not Daredevil. And BB obviously was against it. She is all about the truth. But something about how the guy was talking to her and how he was commanding, he really got trained by Fisk. And I'm not sure if BB is going to even tell the truth, even though she's supposed to. And it would be really bad because she's also the niece of Ben Urich, who's supposed to be about all the truth and everything like that. The truth and justice. So what is she going to do? What do you think? Do you think she's actually going to do it for the next episode? Or do you think she's going to falsify it? But one good thing that we get to see is that Kristen is okay and that, she's not dead and, Matt's there to comfort her. And that's always nice to see, Matt actually being there for people, even outside of his, superhero self. And I don't know if Kristen has a new opinion on Daredevil, if she likes him more or she dislikes it, because she did call Muse a freak who wears a mask. I'm not sure if it's just she was directed at him or she's directed to anyone who wears a mask in general. And that makes me very, curious. And what also got me very curious in a few episodes gets me more interested here. You know how we saw Vanessa, talking to the tracksuit guy, and then that we know that it was her that paid the money, right? And the tracksuit guy was basically saying, can I have help from you to overthrow Fisk? And what happened here, I'm a little confused because we see that Vanessa is basically texting the address of where Fisk is to this guy. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, she wants him to kill Fisk, her husband. But then what happens was very interesting and kind of predictable, but also not. Because when he goes into the building to kill Fisk, Fisk's bodyguard, who I feel like is the new Wesley, basically, shoots him. Shoots the tracksuit guy. And of course, Fisk has no expression. But was Vanessa trying to get her husband killed? Or was she trying to get the tracksuit guy killed in general? I'm not sure who she's playing anymore. And maybe that's the point, because now I feel like Vanessa is the true mastermind of the show, not Fisk anymore, because no one seems to like that Fisk is mayor, not her, not any of the gang members. So what is gonna happen? But again, I like how Fisk does not care. He even says, "Send some of this food to my wife." Does she know about the text? Or again, was this all planned? Was this all made so the trash suit guy can die? I have absolutely no idea. But hey, that was episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again. Again, I cannot get enough of this show. It is so fun. It just keeps getting better and better throughout the show. Of course, there are things that are a lot slower. There are things that are not as, fast paced. But I feel like that doesn't matter. It can be slow. It can be, not as action packed. And it will still be very fun and very exciting, to watch. And now that Muse is dead, what's going to be the new big bad? Is it going to be Fisk? Is it going to be Vanessa? What's going to happen with BB? Is she going to write her story? What is the Gen Z guy going to do? Again, don't know his name. Is he going to basically be like Fisk's new son, who later on becomes a villain called the Rose? I am not 100% sure. I have a lot of questions. What about you? Do you have any questions? What are your thoughts on this show? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are there anything you're confused about this episode, or are just wondering? Please let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And before I end this video, I do want to say I have made posts about that these videos have been blocked every time I would post them, which is weird because, again, the first 2 episodes were completely fine. Well, not 2 episodes, the 2 videos I made were fine on the show, so what's the problem? And when I tried to appeal them, they worked, the block was gone, but it was still copyright. And to this day, from the point of this video being released, all the other videos that I had appealed are still under review, which is weird, to be honest. Thank God I don't monetize right now, but this is getting very tiring. I'm going to keep reviewing this show, but if they don't stop with the blocking, it will ruin my enjoyment of talking about the show. Not the show itself, but I don't want to quit. So there's that. But hey, if you do want to keep seeing me react to this show, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can actually get notified when these videos come out. If there's nothing else, this has been Dunamite. I hope everyone stays nerdy, and I hope to see everyone in the next video. Bye!